and I'm driving in. Chris Paul's a Warrior.
Boom. I mean,
a mushroom cloud.
Well,
dude, I almost crashed on the Bay Bridge.
Listen, when you're in the car when these things happen, and I wonder if a lot of you listeners experience, I'm sure you do, experience this the same way. Like, it almost unfolds like a chapter book, even though it's only 6 seconds long. The breaking news sounder hits. It's the NBA draft day, and yes, we are live at Chase Center on the floor.
Yeah.
We're on the floor at Chase Center. The actual basketball floor is not here. It is the underneath the floor feel with the scoreboard dropped to the ground and a huge draft sort of a look to the whole place. And so if you want to take a look at a little bit of what it looks like, get over to YouTube and watch us.
It's like a beautiful woman that you see without makeup on.
Oh.
And you're like, oh, my God.
Well,
you're even more beautiful than when you have your makeup on.
That means you're lucky enough to wake up with her the next morning. Good for you. Congratulations.
A woman, shout out Supper, who looks like that. But honestly, Mark, we look at Chase Center right now without her makeup on.
It's in her natural beauty.
Gorgeous.
Yes, it is.
Am I wrong?
You're not.
I'll give myself a 4 for that.
So we're here.
I'm not trying to joke around.
It's all good.
Win the big days.
We're on our way in, and when Steinig says the Golden State Warriors have traded, and I go, he's going to say Jordan Poole. And he goes, Jordan Poole. And then he goes, 4. And you lead forward, or you hit the brakes, or whatever you do. And he goes, Chris Paul. And all I can do, Warrior fans, is believe that we are one of you, and I think I have a good feeling how most of you felt, which is that so many of you wanted Jordan Poole traded, and so many of you don't want Chris Paul to be a Warrior, and that makes this a very conflicted type of a day. I've already seen on YouTube, Willard's playing both sides. I'm going to acknowledge it because I feel both sides. I've been telling you for 2 months they got to trade Jordan Poole, and they will, and they did. And from the moment the Chris Paul stuff came down, I was like, no, you don't get a Warrior jersey.
And
we don't like you.
Yes,
you were.
Yes.
You were.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Oh. See, even though I called him CP 2.5, which I believe that he is.
Right.
But you know what? Now that he's a Warrior, you're CP 3.5. I'm all in on you.
That's gross.
I'm getting a Chris Paul Warriors jersey. Who was the last?
You're not.
No doubt. Actually, I already have one on
Supper will
order.
make you return it. Stop wasting your money.
Exactly.
It's going to be here for 1 year.
Diapers are expensive.
Come on, brother.
CP wears 3. My baby wears 2s in terms of diapers. But I'm trying to think who the last Warrior to wear 3 was, and the first name I can think of is Al Harrington.
Yeah, you know me. I'm not a numbers guy.
I don't think he got retired.
I have no clue.
Yeah.
No, it did not get retired.
No.
All right, so look, here's the deal. And from the floor at Chase Center, we are taking your calls all the way up to 6 o'clock and the NBA draft. And we're just going to say we'll see who stops by. Lots of people in the building tonight, but we really want to make this about you, the Warrior fan, and what you think about this trade. It's Jordan Poole. It's Ryan Rollins. 2 future draft picks, including a protected first. Now, it's many years from now, but a protected first-round draft pick in exchange to the Washington Wizards in exchange for Chris Paul. And for those of you who are thinking, maybe another deal's coming or they're going to waive Chris Paul, the reports have all come in from multiple areas. Chris Paul stays. Chris Paul plays. That's what this is. This is not a precursor. This is not anything other than the Warriors feeling like this is their new backup point guard.
Yeah.
This is their new sixth man. He is Chris Paul. He is 38 years old, and he is one of the most hated players in the NBA in this city, and now he plays for your team. So, 888-957-957.
He's a Warriors, and he's always going to be a Warriors, at least for the next year.
Yeah.
And I love it, and you and I went back and forth on this a couple of weeks ago, and our station actually was really split down the middle. There was, I think, 1 and 1 on each show, and I was pro CP3. You were anti.
Yep.
I think Bonte might have been pro.
No, Bonte was very anti.
But Joe was pro, but now he's anti.
Well, Shasky was in, but he wasn't thinking about it this way. He's very angry because one thing Bonte and Joe have been, they've been very pro young guys. Again, I don't want to put words in anyone's mouth. We would never do that at 95-7 the game.
I will put words in Steiny's mouth.
Well, yeah, he deserves it.
The hell with the kids.
But the guys in the morning, I feel like have been pro, let's move on from the big three. They want, like Draymond, they would like that a move made there, maybe even Clay. I have, as I've been saying now for months, big three, not done yet. Make moves for them. And that's clearly what this is.
Exactly.
This is not the one I expected. This is not the one I hoped for, but I support it from the angle that it is, if you will, choosing a side. It's much more complex than that.
Right,
but it is a choosing of the big three. I think everybody is right when they say, you see this deal and it immediately clicks, oh, Draymond is staying. Draymond's getting a new contract.
And Steph and Clay both said yes to this. Mike Dunleavy's had the job for, what?
6 minutes.
Basically. Yep. I thought it was closer to 7, but I don't have my watch out, so I'm not positive. But this move does not happen without Steph Curry and Klay Thompson and Draymond Green, if he's staying, and I do believe that he is, them saying yes on Chris Paul. If any of them felt about Chris Paul the way we, as the fan base, feels about Chris Paul, this doesn't happen. There's no way this happens without Steph, Clay, and Dre saying
I agree.
Yes.
I agree. And by the way, and I'm getting a text from Joe right now. Joe, thank you for listening. We appreciate you being a P1 here on 95.7 The Game. And what he texted me is absolutely accurate. The conversation we were all having about in or out on Chris Paul was if he got to a buyout position and you could get him for a veteran minimum salary. That was the conversation, and Shasky was in, thumbs up, on Chris Paul as a veteran minimum.
Sure.
The Warriors will pay Chris Paul $30 million this year.
Fine. Who? Right. Wait. Say that again.
Yes, the Warriors.
Thank you.
Not you.
Okay.
Not me.
So
we may buy tickets.
I would rather have them pay, and I know Joe's listening, and I hope all Warrior fans are listening to the words that are about to come out of my mouth. I would rather have them pay Chris Paul $30 million next year than Jordan Poole $28 million. I'm not a believer in the way Jordan Poole plays.
Agreed.
I think Jordan Poole is Kemba Walker, and if you look at Kemba Walker's career, yeah, he's 20 a night, but he's 20 a night as a number one for a bad team. And I told you this a year and a half ago. I don't believe in Jordan Poole as a future one for a championship team.
I agree.
So if Jordan Poole is your one, you're not winning games.
Well,
you're at 34 and 48. So if it means that you get off Jordan Poole to bring in Chris Paul to be a backup, and he, by the way, has never come off the bench in his entire career. If you look at his game log, it's 1,200 plus games.
It's coming.
As a starter.
It's coming.
But if he's willing to do that, and I think that he would be willing to do that.
He has to.
Yes, but I think
unless the Warriors are starting 6 people next year.
The one thing that this team needs more than anything else is grown men in the playoffs, because that's why they lost to the Lakers. They didn't have enough playable guys.
And you know what a lot of people are going to say? Can Chris Paul even be healthy for the playoffs? And it's a completely fair retort to what you just said. Well, we'll see. Let's not act like just because you're a Warrior, you're automatically healthy. That's been proven incorrect. They're athletes. They're going to get hurt. We'll see about this one. Couple important things that I'd like to throw out there just for background so people can maybe understand the thought process, because I will tell you, my phone, like yours, has not stopped yet.
Jeez.
And the number one thing most of my people are asking is why? Why would you do this? Okay. There's the obvious basketball stuff. There's the not-so-obvious relationship stuff. But let's go to the area for a moment where fans don't love to go, and that is money. I don't want it to make it sound like the Warriors are cutting costs, because that's not what they're doing. But you hear about the new rules of the CBA. Remember when Joe Lacob said a week and a half ago, we know the new rules of the CBA. We're going to win. We don't care. The new rules in the CBA start when? In other words,
next year.
After this coming year. So the idea that it is even more penalizing to have big priced stars on your roster, that kicks in after next year. Get it? So Chris Paul, $30 million for 1 year. Jordan Poole, $30 million a year for 4 years. So that's one area where they did just get some savings. But the other idea is, if you're going to support the big three, why not get everything lined up to where when their career comes to an end, and you can see the way this is trending, I would predict Draymond to get a 3-year deal. I would predict Klay Thompson to get a 2-year extension. Everybody line up for 3 more years, and when that's done, what do you want? You would have all the cap space. You got all the cap space in the world.
That's my William Wallace.
Very good.
I wanted to say it because we're in the big arena and it played a little bit better.
Andrew Wiggins can be a piece. We'll see if someone like Kuminga or names we haven't even learned yet are a part of the team by then. But you then have the ability, being in San Francisco with Chase Center and the cachet of the Golden State Warriors organization, to go out on the market to all of the biggest name free agents, have all the flexibility possible. I know fans go, well, it's not my money, I don't care. Well, you should. You should, because the way they navigate things financially is what opens them up to get the players here that you do really want to see. And so whoever the next big thing is, whenever he's available in 3 or 4 years, the Warriors have now set themselves up to be a player for that player.
Do you know who's under contract after the next 3 years for the Golden State Warriors?
Nobody.
Thank you, Jim Harbaugh. Jordan Poole is on the hook for 35.3, but according to sources, he's not going to be a Golden State Warriors. Andrew Wiggins has a player option for 30.17. So if Andrew Wiggins is still Andrew Wiggins, then you would hope that he took that option. But if Andrew Wiggins is this good, he's not going to take that option. He's going to look for a max, which you would love it.
Who knows,
if he was that good of a player,
but he's a different guy. Like, he took less money than he could have gotten on the open market.
But he'll be 32 at that point, and if he's this good, he'll be looking for major money. But the point being, at that juncture, nobody will be under contract. So if you want to trade Jordan Poole now, and you made this choice because the veterans obviously didn't feel like Jordan Poole could be a key part of what you were trying to do to win a championship in this next year. So Jordan Poole out, Chris Paul in. Chris Paul's got a 1-year deal, and the next year is not a guaranteed option. So if, Chris Paul can get you where you want to go this year, great. If not, you can move off Chris Paul. Klay Thompson's contract is up, so whatever you sign him to, if you do sign him to extension, it's going to be a lot less than what you're making now. So this was a little bit of a salary move.
Yeah, well, of course. And they told us that was going to be a part of it.
Yeah.
But not a salary dump. It's a move for salary flexibility.
It's a salary future dump.
Yes, absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. And by the way,
it's a future dump, which,
when I watch Jordan Poole play in the playoffs, I support it. I don't want $30 million, $35 million a year locked up in that. He did not play that well. He did not play well enough for that. And whatever extraneous stuff you want to throw in there on that, blame it on the punch, blame it on whatever. The bottom line is Jordan Poole's actual basketball did not line up with that contract, and the Warriors have opened up flexibility. They have gotten smarter today. They are smarter about basketball than they were. Are they less dynamic and less talented? Yeah, absolutely. The offseason is just getting started. We'll see what other moves they make. I feel like I'm with a lot of people out there. This is going to take a lot of time for me to process the idea of rooting for Chris Paul in a basketball game. I don't know yet how to wrap my head around that. But what I will stress is I don't think the Warriors gave up today what you think they gave up, and neither does the rest of the league. They gave up a guy. The signals were all there. They gave up a guy they had soured on from all the way back before the season, and to me, the clues are all there that there was a lot going on we don't know about that soured the players, the executives, everyone on Jordan Poole, or else we don't get to this point today.
Well, think about that in terms of, who might have soured on Jordan Poole. This trade doesn't happen without the A-OK from Steph, Klay, and Dre. And we're assuming that Draymond Green comes back, and you and I were going back and forth in the show thread earlier, and I'll put the over-under on Draymond's extension at 89.99, because I do think that it is $90 million is what he gets.
Oh, what's he going to get? Yeah.
I think he gets 3 and 90, so I threw it out there at 90.
Under, yeah.
But I wanted to put it at 89.99 in case it does come in at 90. It's not a push because I think 90 is going to be where the number comes in.
No, you
Ultimately,
can put it at 90, and I'll take the under.
89.99 is where the line is set.
If it comes in at 89.99, then I win because I took the under 90.
Fine.
Yeah.
It'll be 90. So 90 is a
Maybe.
push, and you get your money back. You don't get the win because under 90, and if it comes in at 90, is not an under. You get that.
I think it's 75 to 80. I think is what it is.
I think this news
but I
is a
don't
$10 million win for Draymond at the very minimum.
I think it's a bajillion dollar win for Draymond, and I don't care if it's 80 or 90.
I don't either.
Like now,
it's not my money.
Right now, if what you're telling us is that you needed to get under some sort of an apron next year, not this year. Well, Chris Paul can be the $30 million that's coming off the books,
right?
Which is what it'll be.
And Klay Thompson will be the 42 that comes off the books because he's not making 42.
No, but I do think he'll already have a new contract.
I'm sorry, 43.2.
But I think he'll have a contract that covers the next 2 years after that.
Fine,
already.
But it's not going to be at 43.
No, of course not. Of course not.
You know, I was talking to somebody earlier in terms of the new CBA and how many contracts that you can sign at that level, and you're not going to be able to sign 5 guys at that level. So if Klay is one and Steph is one and Draymond's one, Chris Paul probably won't be one. Not this year, but the year after that. So you might have a little bit of room to add something at that point. But for this year, either we're going to ride with everyone and run it back, which I don't think anybody could think, let's run it back. You were good enough this year. You were a 6 seed. You couldn't beat the Lakers, who got housed by Denver. You're not good enough to beat Denver. You're not good enough to win the championship by running it back. So if you want to be a championship team, you can't run it back. And we've said for weeks, the only way you can make yourself better is by getting rid of Jordan Poole and getting something for him.
I see where you're at. I see it just like a slight twist different than what you're saying, because I still look at the roster they have and I go, you are good enough to win because you just did 12 months ago. But you're
a long time ago.
But now you're not, because those same pieces have soured on one another. And so...
And they're older.
Yeah.
And not as good. But and we can debate that another day.
I don't want to argue that. I see that differently. I thought Steph, Klay, and Dre, each one as an individual, were all better than they were the year that they won the championship. But collectively, they were worse because they had soured on one another. So were they good enough to win a title? I guess you're right.
No, they weren't.
In my opinion, for different reasons, but no, because this group can't do it together anymore. So you change the group, and that's exactly what they did. 888-957-9570. We'd love to hear from so many of you today. Jordan Poole to the Wizards, along with Ryan Rollins, 2 future draft picks in exchange for Chris Paul.
I love it. And
Chris
I mentioned
Paul
earlier,
is
I couldn't
a Golden
remember,
State Warrior.
I couldn't remember who the last player was to wear number 3.
It's Jordan Poole.
It's Jordan Poole, dude. And I guess I'm kind of like
Why didn't we call him JP3? That should have worked. Maybe
some did.
Give him a different nickname, and maybe he would have been a happier guy.
And I guess this is maybe a question for the callers as well. Can Chris Paul come in and wear number 3?
Absolutely.
Or is it too soon?
It's too soon.
Dude, people love Jordan Poole. Don't underestimate how much people love Jordan Poole.
I disagree with you. There are plenty who do.
People love Jordan Poole. There are people who are outraged at 888-957-9570.
And there are many more who are not.
So CP3 is going to come in and wear Jordan Poole's number just like that? Before the body's even cold, Mark?
Bonte put up a poll. I want to see if I can find this. Bonte put up a poll of 4 different options with regard, and this was before the trade, 4 different options of what the fans would like to see the Warriors do tonight. I got to find the poll so I can see what all of them were, but I know which one was winning. Trade the youngsters. Trade the youngsters. You know this. Yes, there are Jordan Poole fans. There were plenty of Warrior fans who went into this offseason, and option 1 was trade Jordan Poole. And they did. They just didn't get who you wanted for him, that's all.
And I guess if you have a Jordan Poole jersey, and I'm looking at Dr. Nirav Pandya, cleared to play Tuesdays at 4, and he posted a picture of his Poole jersey, I guess you could kind of like take out a couple of the O's and put an A and put a U in there where the O is and scratch out the E and make it work for you. If you wanted to keep your jersey, Doc Pandya.
You could do that. He just landed from Fiji. And was like, what? You know, it's one of those things where your phone was off.
What the hell?
And you turn it on and it beep, 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 beep. What the hell's going on? All right, 888-957-9570. Hey, Josh in Atlanta, you can lead us off. You're here with Willard and Dibs. What are you doing, Josh?
Hey, how's it going? Just got news of the trade. I just wanted to say that Poole's 21-22 run was obviously historical, so much fun for everything this franchise has done, but he's become toxic to the Warriors' DNA. He had to be moved. And I think CP3 brings us back that veteran leadership off the bench from the early years with Sean Livingston that we've been missing. So we obviously still need to bring in another vet, but I still believe in Clay, Wiggs, Dre, and Steph. And I believe in a big jump for Moody and Kuminga. You know, after last season, I'm more comfortable with CP3's consistency off the bench than Poole. So, you know, hopefully we can ride this and get something going.
Josh, that's great. I wonder about Kuminga next. You know, he had been rumored to be a target for some teams who have top 10, maybe even a top 5 draft pick tonight. Who knows? Maybe the day's not done. So I don't know about Kuminga next year yet either. It's interesting. Josh hits two different emotions, and right now they're hitting me differently. So if you're part of the trade Poole crowd, and I was and I am, that makes today a positive. However, when you then look at who you got, and you're immediately, as Josh was, okay, you got your veteran off the bench, you got this in the point guard, and this is the way. I'm not there yet. That's where I'm going to have to do some work to get to that point. I was in favor of a Jordan Poole trade. I understand how this checks some boxes. You now have that ball handler off of the bench and can run your second unit, but there are so many questions there because he is so much lesser of a player than he used to be, and he's also Chris Paul. And I'm
going to stop you there.
I'm not going to apologize for having a hard time with that.
No. The second part of it is it's up to you to get over or not get over because Chris Paul is Chris Paul. But to say he's so much lesser of a player is factually inaccurate.
You're going to bring up numbers, and I don't want numbers. Did you watch the games?
I watched every Phoenix Suns game. I had League Pass. Bonte gave me his account. Dude, I watched every dribble from every game in the association.
That's my opinion, and
Quiz me on Charlotte.
You will not change
Quiz me on Charlotte.
You will not change my opinion today that Chris Paul is a much lesser entity than he used to be.
You said so much lesser, and now we're down to just much lesser.
Oh, gosh. Okay. He is a so much lesser. That's a weird sentence. That's the only reason I left out the so.
You spent so much time in the Valley, and oh, my God, he's so much lesser.
So off-haul. No, he is so much less effective than he used to be.
But
so much less effective.
He's not so much less effective.
I think he is.
How many players this year average 14 and 9? The answer is 3.
Three players in the league?
3 players had 9 assists and 14 points a game.
How many of them played with 2 of the best 10 offensive bucket getters in the entire league?
2 of them.
Did they?
Yet James Harden played with, a guy by the name of Joel Embiid.
That's one. Who's his other great bucket getter?
They've got all kinds of bucket getters on Philadelphia.
You're not hearing me, dude. Durant, and I know Durant was only there at the very end.
Right.
Durant and Booker, that's different.
Jokic, Harden, and Trae Young were the only 3 players outside of Chris Paul to average 14 and 9. So to say that he's so much lesser, I think is unfair. And if you put Chris Paul in a 25-minute role, he's going to be equally good to what he was last year.
Maybe.
Yeah, we'll see.
Maybe.
I think that you are stuck on your distaste and
I
your
don't
dislike.
like Chris Paul. Yes, I don't like it. I mean, how else do you want me to say this?
That is coloring your analysis of him as a player.
Well, of course
Take it from a guy who watched all 82.
Got it. I speak for thousands of Warrior fans today that we do not like the way this guy plays basketball. It is an unenjoyable watch. I have told you for years, this guy plays a game called Let's Get the Refs Think Something Happened That Didn't Happen.
The first time he dimes up Steph Curry, you're, CP3.
I'll be pumping my fist.
CP3.
No, I'll say Steph.
Disingenuous.